What's going on? It's Tyler McKinney back here again today, and we're going to talk about some XFL football today. That's right, we're going to continue to get into it because we keep getting more content. So if we keep getting more news and more stuff on the XFL, I'm going to go ahead and cover it. All right, if this is your first time here, thanks for coming in. Hopefully you liked this video. If you're a return viewer, thanks for coming on back, and I really appreciate it because every view counts and everyone matters, and so I thank you. I thank you for supporting our little channel here, and if you can, and if you would, please subscribe because I seriously need all the help that I can get. All right, so let's not wait any further. Let's get into the content for today. So if you've been paying attention, the XFL have released 3 times now different pools of players that are going to be in their draft coming up. And I'm not necessarily going to go over those and view all those and look at all those. You can find a lot of that content in a lot of other places, and maybe I'll put some links and stuff to it down in the comments section for you so you can go view that content and look at it that way. I want to look at things from a little bit of a different perspective today, and something that kind of I was thinking about today, and I want to look at, so the XFL's definitely gotten talent, and I am not going to take that away from them. I definitely feel like they have brought in already in just seeing these three pool releases, and with Landry Jones, they've already brought in better talent than what the AAF had. And so I don't want to take away from that, but I do want to turn our focus a little bit different today. And like I said, they've got talented NFL guys that have been drafted in high rounds, guys who've been around the league for a while. They've got Kenny Robinson Jr., who by all means could have been a star in the NFL and decided to go to the XFL. So we have that. But I'm wondering, with these top-tier players, and I don't mean just the quarterbacks because we haven't gotten all of our Tier 1 quarterbacks yet, but also the top-tier players, if they're having trouble getting these guys to sign up and either be part of the draft or be a Tier 1 player on a team. And so, we've already looked, and if you haven't seen that video, I'll put kind of a card for it down here or up here somewhere. I'll put up, and we talked about is the NFL hoarding players and the NFL just signing up players so that they don't go to the XFL, and we looked at it from that angle. But maybe there's another angle. Or it could just be that the XFL is holding on to all this information and they're just baiting us and waiting to come out and let us know of these players that they've signed and these people that they're going to have this big boom come at the end of the week, which would be awesome, and we're definitely going to cover it if it's that. But as I'm looking at it right now, I'm wondering, since we haven't heard these big names, haven't heard of these Tier 1 quarterbacks, I'm wondering if maybe that it's not necessarily the NFL, but maybe it's the players who are hesitant to sign with the XFL. And, before you go anywhere, let's look at this a little bit, okay? So one of the things, we know that we have different tier for different, what they value of a different talented player. What if the players are hesitant to sign with the XFL because they're waiting for a call from the NFL to get on a practice squad, and that they don't want to ruin their chances of getting on a practice squad now? And I've looked at some things, and I saw some things. The reality of it is that they really have until like December, the beginning of December, before they really start to report for camps. So I'm wondering if maybe some of these guys are thinking that they might come in this supplemental draft that will be happening, and that they might be able to pick up some other guys in that supplemental draft that they won't be getting in the initial draft. And so my thought process is kind of changing some here, that maybe it's not necessarily this idea of they don't want to play in the XFL, they don't want to be in the XFL, but that they might turn down an opportunity to play in the NFL and make money. And so I'm kind of looking at it from that, because if you haven't paid attention to kind of how the NFL does things with the practice squad, those guys are paid kind of on a weekly basis. It's almost like this temporary thing where, okay, you're on the practice squad, you get paid. Okay, you continue to be on, you get paid. And then when you're no longer on there, you're not getting paid anymore. Okay, now we brought you in for this week. Okay, you get paid this week. So, they're getting somewhere around $5,000 to $10,000, maybe sometimes more than that, depending upon the type of player they are and what position it is in that, a week to be on these practice rosters. And we've already talked about the injuries that have happened in the NFL this season already, that where quarterbacks have already been called up and had to step in. So I'm wondering if possibly that might be an issue, that it's either one, guys are waiting for an opportunity, and that they know that they don't really have to sign up with the XFL right away, and two, these are guys who are waiting and trying to get a paycheck. Whereas we know with the XFL, once the guys get into minicamp, from there on out through the end of May, they'll get a check every 2 weeks, which they're going to get a paycheck, which in all honesty, for that short period of time to be making at really the minimum somewhere around $60,000 a year, that's pretty good for roughly, let's look at like say 5 to 7 months of work. That's kind of a big deal there. But the problem is that they've got to figure out how to pay the bills between now and when they start getting a check cut to them when camp starts. So as I'm looking at this, I could see that players are holding out with the XFL. And, I don't know what to think about that. If that's a good thing or if it's a bad thing. And it might just be a this year thing, meaning once we get past this initial year with the XFL and it continues on and we have an off season and we go into next year, that maybe things and the dynamics of things will change enough that we won't have, this kind of thing with it happening. But I'm just curious and wondering, maybe it might not necessarily be the NFL that's trying to keep the players. Maybe it's actually the players who are kind of holding off, because we really didn't hear anything about the supplemental draft until a couple days ago. So I wonder if it's something that the XFL is kind of doing and moving as they kind of things are progressing. They're figuring things out, and so they're changing things and they're adapting to the situation, which in all sense and purposes is a very good thing to do as a business. Just because things don't go exactly the way that you want them doesn't mean that you don't have a viable business and that things won't end up well for you. You just in all aspects of life, we have to adapt. Things change, and as things change, we have to adapt to them. And so I'm wondering if this is one of those things that they're having to change and they're having to move with, and that's why they've got this supplemental draft that'll be happening in November. Because I got a feeling it's probably some of these guys are kind of thinking that and the XFL is thinking that by that time that pretty much things are going to be kind of set in stone, and that these guys are going to be ready to play, especially because they know they'll be getting checks coming up here pretty soon, if they wait till the November draft. So that's just kind of what I'm thinking with it, that it might, again, I don't necessarily think that the NFL's trying to keep talent away from them. I just think that the NFL, they need players. They've done that for years, and you can see that video. I've already put the card up for that video. But with this one, I'm thinking that maybe part of this might actually be the players, and that the players are holding out because they know that they can hold out, and which is fine. And that the XFL has, because of that, added in this supplemental draft where they're going to bring in other talented players as they become available to them. I don't know. I think that's smart on all fronts. I think it's smart on the players' front, if that's seriously what's happening, and it's smart on the XFL's front, if that's happening. And who knows? It could just be the fact that everything that I said is just moot, and they come out and they've got 8 guys who they've signed who are these guys that got name recognition as being good backups in the NFL. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think we're definitely going to get a big announcement probably sometime on Friday. I think we'll probably get some announcement leading us into the draft next week. That's just kind of my hunch, my thought. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But the question is, what do you think? What do you think on the whole situation? What do you think about the player pool? Do you like the player pool? Do you not like the player pool? Do you think that they've got good enough talent to put good football on the field? Or do you think that they're lacking? Do you think that they'll actually get it? Or do you think that they'll fall short of getting those talented guys, those tier 1 guys, so to say? I don't know. Those are just my thoughts, though. And I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. If you like the video, please hit the like button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I seriously need all the help that I can get. All right. Well, I know that you're busy and I know that I'm busy. So let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.